Hey everybody, Sean and Allison here from Spoken Garden.
Hi you guys, happy Monday, and
Happy
it's
Monday.
day 28.
Wow, day
I
28
know,
already.
I know, I
Gosh,
can't believe it either.
jeez. Yeah, so we're here. You might have noticed this sign right here. What is that, you might be asking? Well, it's a wildlife habitat certification sign.
This is something we're super proud of, and we were really excited to implement this in our own yard.
Mm-hmm.
We've always fed birds and lots of squirrels in our yard, and we were already doing all of these things. And maybe you didn't realize that you can actually certify your own garden online. And we chose to certify our backyard, and we wanted to take you on a little tour today to show you how you maybe could do this in your own yard.
Yeah, so today we're gonna tell you what is required to become a certified wildlife habitat and show you some examples in our yard.
Yeah. One hobby I took up a few years ago was wildlife photography. It's something, I don't know, I kind of stumbled into it. I'd never really had a desire to do that in the past, but in the last probably 4 to 5 years, I started upgrading all my camera equipment and started taking wildlife pictures. I actually started a whole other Instagram account just for that. And one thing I loved shooting were birds. And I just think they're so beautiful when they're flying and they're in motion. And I've even turned Sean into we call ourselves bird nerds now,
Oh
because
yeah.
we have binoculars by our kitchen window, and we actually have drawn so many different types of birds into our yard now. It's really fun.
Well, yeah, and when we go on vacations, we take our binoculars, we take our bird books with us, and we totally are, we become bird nerds.
We completely
We
nerd
are,
out.
yeah, we just completely just, we don't lose our minds, but we kind of sideline a lot of our plans to go look at birds and watch them in their natural habitat.
I know, it's just fun, it's just relaxing and enjoyable, and being able to identify them, for some reason, that's really exciting. So that kind of led us into attracting birds into our own yard, which led us into certifying our yard with this wildlife habitat.
So a couple things that you need to do before you get certified as a wildlife habitat in your yard is you need to meet the 5 different criteria. For one, you need to have water, regular water, clean water in your backyard somewhere. And this can be a bird bath, it can be a pond, something where the birds can actually go drink water and clean themselves.
The second one is to have food. They need by they I mean birds, squirrels, whoever you're trying to attract into your yard, mainly birds probably, but different food sources. This is like seed, different type of nuts, native plants that offer pollen, nectar, that produce berries. So we'll show you a few examples around our yard that fit that criteria.
A couple other things you need are cover, places for the birds or wildlife to hide. You also need somewhere where they can nest and build their nests and then reproduce. That's part of the certification.
And lastly, you need to have a sustainable practice, and it means a couple different things. And we're going to show you some examples as well of sustainable practices that you could employ in your yard, if you don't already, that would qualify for this certification. So let's go take a quick tour so we can give you some examples of what we mean by all of these things. Okay, so here's the start of one of our 3 stations that we have in our backyard. You can see we've got different types of feeders. Usually we have just dozens of birds all over the ground, because all the seed that you just saw up above obviously falls all over the place.
So there's the seed, and
falls
there's where it falls. And thank you, squirrels, for sharing the love, so to speak, of all the seeds. They basically shake these feeders.
Oh my gosh, yes.
They shake these feeders.
Here and they just shake.
Yep. And they knock a lot of the seed down to the ground. And so the birds will still get the seed down on the ground, but it can attract other critters that you might not want, like mice or rats.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
That's just part of what happens. And so the suet, if you're not familiar, it's kind of a mix of seed, but also in like a starchy fat or grease. And you can buy them. You can make your own if you want, but buying them, there's some really good sources, some really good companies out there that make these. And these are really cool. They're really easy. They're just wrapped. You just unwrap them and place them in these little holders on a lot of different bird feeders, and easy, done.
And luckily we were able to find suet on Amazon that was able to be delivered, because that was hard to come by right now.
So right by this bird feeding station area, if you will, we have the water source. And it's just to the left of this bird feeding station area. And we can see this area from our kitchen window and our backyard window, and we can watch many different birds come here in the morning, in the afternoons, in the evenings. And it's a pretty busy place most of the day. Right now it's not because we're so close to it, but you can see it looks kind of clean, so we just clean that out. You got to make sure that it's a clean water source, so it's not standing water, it's not stagnant. It needs to be clean for the birds, otherwise they won't use it.
There's another type of feeder we offer, I guess we could say. This is full of black thistle seed, and this will attract a lot of finches. This also attracts a lot of sparrows, and we just have this whole assortment of bird life. We've seen upwards of 10 or more birds on one feeder at a time, and that's pretty cool.
That's so cool to see just a rush of birds up there just feeding and just chirping back and forth at each other and pushing and shoving to get the seed. It's interesting to watch.
It is interesting.
And if we pan up here, you can see that these feeders are under the foliage of this cherry tree here, this flowering cherry that we have in our backyard. But also above it is an evergreen. We have a Doug fir. We have Doug fir all over our backyard. And so this all provides cover for these feeders and protection for birds to come down here and feed, so they don't have to worry about the hawks and the bald eagles that frequent this area. So over here to the right of the feeders that you just saw, we have a native plant called salal. And so this plant actually produces a lot of berries, and this time of year you're not going to see it, but we'll see the remnants here. I can show you the remnants right there, and those are the berries that it produces. So imagine about midsummer, maybe late summer, depending on the year, that all these plants have these berries on them. So this is a natural food source for wildlife. And so it's great. It's in a protected area around a bunch of conifer trees, these Doug fir. So it's hard for predator birds to see what's going on in here. And it's great brush. So it's also great for nesting and habitat.
Another example of a berry that's produced by this plant is Katonah Aster. These berries have actually been up here for a while. Usually they're picked clean by all kinds of birds, including American robins. In the late winter, we actually had a flock of American robin. It's one of the only times of year they will actually flock together. Normally they're a solitary bird, but when they're looking for food sources in the fall and winter, they will flock together. So that was really cool looking over here at this plant and seeing upwards of 15 or more robins in here at the same time.
It was so cool to see you guys.
Another thing we can show you, it's kind of a mess right now. We've actually been considering taking it all out, but we've got vinca everywhere down here, just a ground cover. But again, that does supply cover and places to nest. A lot of juncos and sparrows do nest on the ground, so this gives them places to hide.
Okay guys, so one last thing we wanted to mention in the list of requirements to become a certified wildlife habitat is sustainability, and there's a couple things that means.
So one way to make your yard more sustainable is to add mulch. Obviously we have a lot of arborist mulch everywhere. If you watch some of our other videos, you know it's kind of everywhere. And there's so many reasons that this is beneficial. It helps with erosion, it helps build your soil and make it healthier, especially if you use this kind of mulch. It retains moisture and just makes your plants healthier. So that's one sustainable practice you can add. Another is right here actually, and we need to rebury this. That's another project coming up. Drip line. We have drip line set up along this whole bed and pretty much all over our yard. You can't see it because it's buried. So that's one way to make your yard more sustainable, is just reducing the amount of water that you're using. Also drought tolerant plants. Bonus points if they're native plants. Another sustainable practice for your own yard is to remove your lawn. And we actually, we need to mow. This is the only lawn we have left on our entire property. We've either added gravel, rock mulch, or we, as you saw earlier, we've converted our entire front yard into a garden.
We reduced our backyard grass by half. And so that's something to consider too, is take out part or almost all of your grass, because it's a big water user, it's a big resource user, and it really does nothing for habitat. It really doesn't for the wildlife. There's nothing that There's nothing natural about what it provides for habitat.
And real quick, while Sean is talking, I noticed, I don't know if we can see over by our station, right behind our sage plant, we have a spotted towhee that just crept in. We have a whole bunch of birds coming in right now because we are kind of hidden a little bit. He's kind of hiding under the blue star.
There he is.
Here's another one running across. There he is.
Yep. There you
So
go,
those are
guys.
spotted towhees.
Just like we were talking about, they go down to the ground and they will eat that seed off the ground that the squirrels knock down. One more thing we wanted to show you to help you qualify for a wildlife certified habitat is have rain barrels. Now we've got 2 here that we've had and we need to get them set up.
Okay, so that was the tour. We hope you were able to take away some ideas, maybe to add to your own yard, or possibly just go out and take a walk around and see what you already have that might help you qualify.
Chances are you have some or a lot of these different requirements to become certified in your own garden for a wildlife habitat.
Right. And if you want to find out more, we're going to link down below where to go to find out if you do qualify, or maybe just what you need to do to work toward it. And it's on the National Wildlife Federation website. And they have a whole system set up where you basically go through this like kind of quiz to see where you're at, what you have. It's really pretty simple. Once they certify you and say, yes, you're approved, they have a few options for different signs you can choose from to purchase and add to your own garden, kind of show it off a little bit.
Just like you were under quarantine, just like you were doing different things every day to stay busy and stay positive, make sure to remember that we're in this together and things are going to get better. Make sure to remember busy hands, busy minds.
Super important right now. And we hope, again, that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. And stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow on Tuesday, day 29.
Yep. Until then, see you later. Have
Bye,
a good
guys.
day. Bye-bye.